lot of noise this week has been about the future of the head coach of the embattled Dallas football team. They did win on Thanksgiving. That if you have been following this subplot, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I don't know. Cowboy quarterback Dak Prescott, who is walking gingerly because of a medical procedure. Now, he believes that Coach Mike McCarthy, the leadership of Mike McCarthy, is enough where, well, he essentially endorsed Mike McCarthy as the head coach. Well, rather than me tell you what he said, let's go to the audio tape. Here we go.
I believe in him wholeheartedly. I think he definitely deserves a chance, another contract, and a chance to coach this team amongst and kind of, I guess you can say, more influence on his terms. Maybe be a good way to say it. But I wholeheartedly believe in him. The guys won a Super Bowl. I know Jerry's attested to that. There's not many guys or coaches who have done that, and to have one that can do it from experience, and I know how valuable he's been for me.
Okay, well, that's no implication. He said it. I'm with him wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. Deserves a chance. Another contract. He said it. I didn't say it. He said it. There was no implication. He said it. There was some other stuff in there if you parse the words that we'll get to in a second. But that's the money quote. So here we go. Let's discuss the question. As you just heard, Dakota Prescott wants Mike McCarthy to remain Cowboys head coach, saying he wholeheartedly believes in him and wants him to have another contract. How much weight does this have? So I've got Latin, Drama 101, and Emmy winner. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a delicious honey mustard sauce. The proper honey mustard. Wonderful. Goes with chicken, goes with pretzels, just a delicious dip, the honey mustard. Didn't like it when I was a kid, but I like it now. Now, my first thought on this, to answer the question, how much weight does Dak Prescott's endorsement of Mike McCarthy carry? So I did the math on this, and I used MALLER math, so it's about 4,500 pounds. Now, how did I come up with 4,500 pounds of weight? I did the MALLER math. That is roughly how much $240 million in $100 bills would weigh. $4,500 if you were to get in $100 bills $240 million, which also happens to be the amount of money that Dak Prescott is getting on his current contract with the Dallas football team. Now, Jerry Jones, he forked over the cash. He paid the man. Dak Prescott is injury prone. He is aging, and he is rich. Good for him. But when you take a couple of steps back, and we play the audio for you, you could hear what Dak Prescott said. When you take a couple of steps back, Dak Prescott was speaking Latin. There's a Latin term called pro forma, all right? Pro forma, which it's a matter of form, all right? And so what is he? You imagine if Dak Prescott had come out and said, well, no, this Mike McCarthy's a boob? You know, I'd want him in an eating contest. I wouldn't want him coaching. Oh, man, Mike McCarthy, he looked really good on television. No, he wouldn't. He's fat. He'd be bad. I mean, imagine if he said that. Imagine. No, you can't say that. So you got to play it by the book. Now, you didn't have to go over the top. He definitely went over the top. And there is fear of the unknown. For all the shortcomings of Mike McCarthy, there's a phrase that many of us have learned over our time on this planet. Better the devil that you know. So you know Mike McCarthy. You make a change and things could be better. They could also be much worse because the new coach might not like Dak Prescott, Sam I am. And then what do you do? Now, the other part that Dak said that I thought was fascinating, and he when he was giving his endorsement, he said wholeheartedly, you know, new contract and all that. And then he said influence on his terms, which sounds to me like a shot at Jerry Jones. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm parsing the words here. But when Dak's talking about influence on his terms, the implication is that Mike McCarthy does not have enough power, that things he wanted to do he could not do because of the GM. Who's the GM? Ding, 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 ding. Now, speaking of the GM, staying with that school of thought, what is your position on Jerry Jones continuing to keep the door open for Mike McCarthy's return, but yet not going there. So this is, for those of you in the back of the room, this is drama 101 is what this is. The art of making the insignificant significant. And Jerry Jones is following that same old screenplay with the Cowboys. He's talked about this many times, how popular the NFL is because of the soap opera every day, 365 days a year. And Jerry has said, he said this recently a couple months back, he said, when things are slow around here, I will stir it up. That's what he said. I didn't say it. He said it. So in my head, I have that cartoon bubble. You know what I'm talking about? I have a cartoon bubble atop my head. It's on the right side of my head. There's a cartoon bubble. You can't see me, but I'm trying to show you where it is. And in that cartoon bubble, Jerry Jones with a cocktail in one hand, and with the other hand, he's holding the cocktail, and with the other hand, he's standing over a boiling cauldron, and he's stirring with his right hand the witch's brew. So he's got the drink in his left hand, and then with the right hand, he's stirring the witch's brew, is what he's doing here. And even though Jerry Jones has said multiple times it wouldn't be crazy to think that Mike McCarthy could return for a sixth season, where has the time gone? And even more after that, he's continued to be a lame duck, twisting in the wind, has not given him the contract. Jerry's the GM. He's the owner. If he wants today, he gets out of bed, goes to the shower. He does what he does. I don't know. He has a cocktail in the morning, whatever he happens to do there. Jerry, I have no idea. Maybe he circumcises a mosquito and goes and finds some glory hole and all that. And then he says, all right, I'll pay Mike McCarthy. All right, final thought. We now pivot to the rare and appropriate college football story. What's kind of an NFL story, but it's a college story. Several of you who live below the Mason-Dixon line wanted my thoughts on the viral video from Southern Fried Football land, SEC land. In the clip, Georgia quarterback Carson Beck recently, and this guy is considered an NFL prospect, recently said that he doesn't like watching football. Doesn't like watching football. He made some comment about it being stressful. So, when anything's stressful, you really don't want to do it. Yeah, just don't. I mean, it's stressful. You don't want to do it. No. He said that he can't watch football for fun because it's stressful. And the way he phrased it, it sounded like he just doesn't want to watch film. So why would he say this? Why would he say this? So it's a great question. Why would you say this? And I would like to tell Carson Beck, congratulations. You are an Emmy winner, as in mental error. All right, that's what they call it in football, Emmy. All right, and so it's more of a tennis play, unforced error. And this part likely explains why, if you have kept track of the upcoming NFL draft, which I do not want to talk about right now, but I do keep an eye on this because I know that most of my life between February and April will be about the NFL draft. The same storylines every year, rinse, wash, repeat. And so I try to get ahead of that by keeping an eye on the different scouting reports for the top players, and mostly the quarterbacks, because we pretty much just talk about quarterbacks and a few receivers and maybe a running back and offensive lineman, but it's mostly quarterback. And so if you read the scouting report prior to 2024, Carson Beck was projected as a first-round pick. Some even said a top 10 quarterback in the NFL draft. Right now, not in the first round. Despite having the prototypical size, the pocket presence, the skill set of a first-round quarterback, you don't get to Georgia if you're a stiff and play quarterback. But Beck right now is not projected to be a first-round pick based on his body of work at Georgia. And it was very Kyler Murray-esque of Carson Beck. Maybe he likes Call of Duty. He could be like Blake Snell. Maybe he's futzing around on the Twitch. I don't know. But Carson Beck at this point is projected to be a late second-round pick, third-round pick, maybe even a fourth-round pick, depending on how things go after the college football season. But that's an interesting tale. You didn't have to say that. We like his honesty, right? He said, I avoid watching football in my free time. And the ugly truth is a lot of football players don't like football. They're good at it. It's been that way for a long time. We've had some coaches pass through here over the years. Dennis Green, he's dead, but he worked here. Jim Mora, a couple other head coaches have passed through Fox Sports Radio's hallowed hallways over the years. And a lot of these guys have said, I mean, this was a long time ago. And there's, a lot of our guys, they don't necessarily love football. They just happen to be good at it. And, it's a way for them, ends to a means, right? They knew they could make a lot of money. They were in a bad situation, possibly. They grew up, didn't have a lot of money. And it was a way to escape that life and make a lot of money. And they did it, but they didn't really enjoy it. And they just did it for the cash. And the argument's always been you try to find the guys that are really good and actually like football, because that's what separates those that get to the next level and succeed and those that don't. But I digress.